Hello everybody, PapaNeeks here, and I am back with another stadium build video for you. One that I've kind of been playing recently. I actually played this build quite a bit on stream yesterday, and I had a lot of fun with it, and actually got a few wins with it. So, this is a build that is actually not just effective, but it's also really fun to play, and it's also really cheap. Now, I think I can actually make it a little cheaper than what I currently have set up. Now, there's kind of two variations of this. There's the build that I personally enjoy, and then there's another version that also utilizes something else that a lot of people have been really taking a shine to, which is the Mecha Punch ability. Now, if you want to go ahead and utilize this, if you like using the melee while boosting, and I'm saying this to all the Diva players out there. Now, for the record, I don't consider myself a Diva player. I am a Rhine player. Diva has never been one of my personal favorite tanks in the baseline game of Overwatch. However, I have come to really enjoy her in Stadium in recent times because of the build that I'm going to be talking about. However, I will say that I'm not too quite fond of using the melee when I'm just kind of flying around, because the idea is that you're doing the melee while you're boosting, which has never really gelled with me. So, I mean, and the codes are going to be right here in case you want to try this out. This does utilize the quick melee along with Gloom Gauntlet and such. But the one that I am going to be showing is my own version, which utilizes the slam mainly along with big bombs. Now, this actually needs to be worked on a little bit. This is the one I've been using, but I'm actually going to go ahead and make a new version of it. Because I actually want to show how cheap you can actually make this effective. So, let me kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about here. So, the main thing about this build is this power right here, Toki Slam. Now, recently, this was actually changed. Using boosters and then using crouch to slam the ground will deal damage equal to 30% of your maximum armor plus shields and knocking up enemies hit. This used to just utilize armor. Now, I've heard that this also scales with ability power. I'm not entirely 100% sure if that is still true or not. But if it does, there is a way that you can utilize armor, shields, and ability power to really get the most out of this, and you can do so in a very cheap amount of cash. So if you're having a difficult time with cash in Stadium, trust me, you don't have to spend that much. The full build for this is actually surprisingly cheap, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about here in just a moment here. So, first of all, let me go ahead and demonstrate the power for you guys, so you guys can see it in action. So when you're boosting, you see the X button there, and then you do this. So it shows up while you're boosting, the X button with the little bunny rabbit there, so then you do this. So, on its own, so you can see, like, hold on a second, let me get these guys back to full health. Alright, so that's like about, what, half of their health bar there? And that's just on its own. So, you know, and that's because when you look at the Diva health bar down there, you can see that it's, you know, like just about half of it is armor. Now, let me just also demonstrate something here real quick. We'll just get rid of her mech. So you can see that Baby Diva has just a full health bar of 175, right? So now let me go ahead and demonstrate a bit more about the capabilities of what I'm talking about here. Now, we can incorporate these later, but right now we're just focusing on the slam and how you can utilize armor and shield. So, in round 1, I usually just take Armored Vest and First Aid Kit, since that's going to leave you with just 500 anyway. There is a variation here that you could, of course, can do. They added this recently. It's this right here. It's called Refraction Armor. It costs 2,000. While you have armor, you gain 50% damage reduction against beam. So if you're facing against a Zarya, this is really good to take. I don't know if there's any other character in Stadium that this works against. I wondered possibly if it works against Mei with her primary fire, but I don't know if that's considered a beam. That's kind of a gray area. So I would say you could probably try and take this if you want, but honestly, this is mainly just good against Zarya. So, but yeah, like, I basically just take these two for the first round. The second round is when you can get definitely much more into this build, mainly by taking Vitality and Vishkar Condenser. because now you are converting all this health into both armor and shields. Remember, health does not matter when it comes to this build and how much the slam does. It's all about armor and shields. So let me do this one more time once they're at full health so you can see the difference already. Look at that. Look at how much of a difference that is. That went from half their health bar to almost their entire health bar. And that's just with these 2 cheap blue items, right? So we can keep going with that. We can be able to grab like Mecha Z series. We can be able to grab Rüstung von Wilhelm. And if we wanted, there are some other things we can grab as well that can also go into this that can help out with our cost here and just simply constantly increasing our armor and shields. And we can also get something that also increases our ability power as well. The Fusion Drive. A way to not only give yourself armor, but also ability power and restore your armor or shields, which is, of course, what we're going to be having a lot. And then you can also grab Divine Intervention. So that's about, what, 42? And I believe there is a way, if you want, to just try to... Hold on a second. So yeah, usually, like, just on this alone right here, which is 33k, right? So let me go ahead and actually just kind of get these guys back to full health. Look at that. One shot. One shot. And that's just 33,000. That's cheap. That's literally all you need. You can continue to make it stronger because you can grab things like Divine Intervention. You could grab the Reduction Field to give yourself more damage reduction and more armor. You could go with APM Amp, which not only gives you shields, but also gives your allies a movement speed buff. So there are ways to continue buffing this up even more. Again, I would not recommend taking these here because they only buff your health, not the armor or shields. And if you, like I said, if you go for the melee power, you can also grab Gloom Gauntlet because it also gives you 50 armor. So these kind of things here, like, yeah, this is going to bring the cost up. But that's why, honestly, this is when then the rest of the build, this is what I personally enjoy. I like to grab the Ignition Burst so I can constantly drop lava around, Express Detonation, as well as Party Protector, mainly because then while you're using the Slam in the early rounds, the late rounds is where things are going to get really fun with the big bombs, because we all love making those big bomb plays, right? So then you finish off the cost of this build with the Detonator item. Now that's going to bring it up to 37,000, but again, that's still cheap. You're not going for a build that's like 60,000 here. This is a very cheap build that's going to allow you to be able to take advantage of just like, you know, and you can, if you want, you can get rid of the Fusion Drive if you want, and you can just go ahead and get the Divine Intervention if you want. Or you could get rid of the Von Wilhelm and get Intervention along with the Fusion Drive. But honestly, I personally think having the Fusion Drive along with Von Wilhelm, because it increases, give you both more armor and shields, is going to really help out. But again, right here, this is just 37,000. Very cheap build. And it's super, super effective here, because you're still going to be able to get a whole bunch of slam damage here. You're going to be dropping lava all over the place when you're boosting. And yeah, that one shot's a tracer, but let's demonstrate that against a much tankier target. In Stadium, let's pick an Orisa here. So that does almost half of the health bar Orisa there. So now, this is again early round stuff. Late round, of course, is when you start doing this, because of the bigger bombs, which you'll notice that actually also just straight up knocked the Orisa off the platform there. That actually still killed the Orisa, and she was full health. That's again that extra range and damage that that item does. Also, there's something else I want to demonstrate about this build. Look at Baby Diva's health. Look at the health bar at the bottom. Now that the overhealth is gone. You see how much of her health is now armor and shields? So when you take things that add to your armor shields, that doesn't just apply to Mech Diva, that applies to Baby Diva as well.
Initializing system.
So the main thing I'm trying to get here, and by the way, I believe ability power actually, because I think this slam counts as an ability, so I think ability power actually adds to it. I'm not entirely sure about that, but if that's true, that makes the fusion drive item even more valuable to this build, because you're not only getting more armor, but you're also getting more ability power, which helps scale the capabilities of this build. Get off the edge. There we go.
I'm on fire.
I like killing Marissa's. What? They torment me. So anyways, as you guys can see here, I'm actually going to go ahead and delete this current one. I'm going to make a new one right here just to help showcase it for you guys. So, when it comes to these, like, I have a missile build. I'm not too fond of it. And I know that right now, like, the Mecha Punch is considered really good. But I actually think this is a pretty fun build. Toki Slam, Ignition Burst, Express Detonation, and Party Protector. The Slam is going to be taking you through the early rounds. And then once you get to the later rounds, that's when the bombs can really start to become effective. So, like I said, Armored Vest and First Aid Kit in the early rounds. Refraction Armor in case you're facing a Zarya. And then, of course, this is where you start thinking things like the Condenser, Tele ET, and the Mecha Z series. And then you start going with things in the late game. Von Wilhelm, the Fusion Drive. I really wish that, like, this was a little bigger in terms of, like, adding stuff that, you know, when it comes to, like, the flex or things I recommend. But this is why they also have that stuff, you know, in on those sites, like the Stadium Build site. The Detonator. You can also grab the Vesuvius Protocol for the early rounds, just for, like, adding more lava to the points. That can help out as well. But Divine Intervention is also pretty good for the shields, as well as another way to help restore and regenerate your shields. And another Reduction Field is also good as well. So this is honestly right here, again, very cheap. You don't need that much cash to make this build a thing and make it effective. I'm just going to rename this my build just as a reconfirmation that this is the build that I enjoy. And this is the code right here in case you want to go ahead and import it and grab it and utilize it yourself. If you consider yourself a Diva player, a Diva one trick, whatever, but you don't usually like to play tank all that much, especially in Stadium, maybe you're a support main. I know somebody who is a massive Mercy main, but she has also, I've heard her admit that when it comes to tank, she considers herself a Diva one trick. And I told her the other day, it's like, look, if you want to start working on your climbing in the tank role in Stadium as Diva, because I know you love playing Diva, I highly recommend this build for you. So I sent it to her, and I'm kind of like probably gonna wait and see whether or not she decides to utilize it. But yeah, this is my personal favorite Diva build right now at the moment. Compared to, like, the missile build, it can be fine, but honestly, ever since they nerfed it, I don't see it as much. But this is just honestly more fun. I just love flying above and just slamming down. My friend Eggs Benna has nicknamed this the Mario Goomba Butt Stomp build. And it shall forever be known as the Mario Goomba Butt Stomp. So yeah, this is my personal stomp build. Again, it could cost you just as, probably just about 37 or 36k, and you can still get a lot out of this. You get a lot of armor and shields, so you make yourself very tanky, and it translates into lots of damage, and you're also giving yourself some ability power as well as ways to regenerate. In fact, you can flex out the Von Wilhelm for the Divine Intervention, so now you have two ways to restore both your armor and shields, so you're constantly able to just keep regenning. So the cheapest you could probably get this is to 36,500. Again, that's super cheap compared to other builds. And again, this is a full build by the time you get to round 7. So let me take you guys to a replay to kind of like show you guys this in action. We had a game the other day. Actually, we streamed a lot of this in Stadium yesterday. A lot of back and forth games here, unfortunately. So, why was that? Hold on a second. Hold on. Actually, I think this was a. Hold on. There's a better way to check this right here. We'll go to here. Here we go. So you can see this was during our stream yesterday when I was mainly getting to play tank. We had some other games where I was playing support queue as well, but you can see I had pretty good success as Diva yesterday, at least in the games that still kept here in this. But let's just go to the round 7 here. Pretty good round 7 I think I had here for us to be able to get a win here. Shot you. I appreciate you paying a visit to my stream afterwards. Thank you very much for that. But yeah, let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and like hop in here, and you guys can take a look at how effective this build can be at times. So up until this point, you can see I've actually had quite a bit of success when it comes to the amount of damage and eliminations I had been able to get in this game. This was kind of like what I was working on, because I had, and again, this build is cheap, but you'd be surprised how much cash you're going to generate with this build, as well as how much ult charge, because you're going to be getting a lot of ult charge by doing this and doing a lot of damage. You can see at this point, I've got 1,300 health. Because I had the extra cash, I was like, okay, I'll just go ahead and also grab these things as well, because since I have so much cash, but again, this build doesn't require a lot of cash. So I had all this extra cash. I'm just like, I don't really have anything else to spend it on. Also, shout out to Poison Lily. You can find her on Twitch as well. I'll probably actually include the link to her Twitch in the description of this video. But I was playing with Poison Lily a lot on stream yesterday, and you know, I was just surprised at when I was playing this, how much I was, how effective it was, and how cheap it actually was. So, let me kind of show you the build in action. I guess I guess we should say here. Just flying, dropping lava everywhere, and then slamming down on the enemy team. Now, watch my ult charge. Now, by the round 7, these guys were getting wise, so I was actually getting picked off quite a bit here, because they started really focusing me hard and really starting getting stuff. They were also kind of like seeing what I was doing, so they were very much waiting for what I was doing. So, I will say this is definitely the thing that, compared to the video, if you guys see a video that Emong reacted to a build like this not too long ago, the difference between this and the melee slam build is that the slam build, they're very much going to be expecting it, and I was at this point, I was just like, Ryan, stop chasing me! But it was all fun between me and Shot You there. But the main thing that the difference between this and the melee build is that the melee is also part of it, whereas the slam is not the whole thing about it. You can see they are just like chunking my health. But again, I'm also trying to make a point about like how effective like my build is when it comes to things like getting ult charge and damage and such. And of course, getting the big bombs late in the game can be a massive turning point in games here. And there's not much they can do to stop or block it other than like, I mean, if they have an Ana, she can actually sleep you during the slam. If they have a Kiriko, she can try to Suzu before you slam to prevent the damage you do. But I was just surprised at how much ult charge I was getting from the slam here. Like, I'm not hitting them right here at the moment, but you know, you can of course be able to work in your rockets, and of course because you have ability power from the fusion drive, excuse me, because you're also getting ability power from the fusion drive, you're also adding to the damage of your missiles. Now again, I'm not entirely sure if that also contributes to the damage of the slam itself, but yeah. But even if it doesn't, you're still getting a good amount of contribution towards it. I think in the early rounds, this actually might be a better demonstration. So there was some other games where in the all right, let's try this. This is just a round 1 demonstration here, and this was against a Zarya. So I actually did not have the refraction armor, so it was a bit rough, but honestly it wasn't that bad. This one was definitely better because I went 13-0 in this one. And this is just kind of an early demonstration here, so honestly let's just go ahead and watch this one and see if I can also show you just the effectiveness of these slams and how much it can generate for you.
10 seconds until the objective's unlocked.
Forward barrier activated. Protecting.
So at this point I had grabbed,
Initiating defense mechanism.
yeah, I grabbed charge plating rather than the refraction armor. I think I just kind of forgot to grab that. But yeah, honestly, like, see right there? When they're all bunched up like that,
What the?
lots of damage and lots of ult charge. So yeah, it's going to at times put you in very dangerous situations, but again, take a look at Baby Diva's health bar. Almost the entire health bar is shields and armor.
Systems.
So it's definitely going to make you very tanky. And I love builds that let me build up my tankiness, and that tankiness translates to damage. At this point, I was just watching the Zarya jump up. I was like, my goodness, Zarya, settle down. Settle down with the chasing here. Did you see that? It chunked like half of Reaper's health bar. Now, I don't know how that didn't get the Freya there. I think there's a certain limited radius to the slam, so... But right there, did you see how much that chunked her health? I was just like, Freya, why won't you die? Got the Juno there. And there's just something fun and satisfying about getting them with this slam. So I hope you can see what I'm talking about in terms of that it can be effective and it can be fun, and again, it's cheap. You don't need that much cash to get to the full strength of this build. When it comes to the items anyway. Obviously, once you get the powers like Express Detonation and the Detonator, all of a sudden then your bombs in the late game are just going to be like nasty. In the early game, not so much because it's just the regular Diva bomb, but man, getting that combination of the item and the power to make your bombs just huge. I messed up my bomb right there. I meant to shoot up in the air and it just kind of went forward. Again, that just shows my lack of time playing Diva in the base game. And then, of course, Diva can, of course, be a good counter against certain things, such as Reaper doing his Death Blossom, other characters you can think of. I got the slam kill on the Zarya there. So, again, just really trying to helping demonstrate why I highly recommend this build. If you are a Diva player and you're looking to start working on your progress here in the tank role queue, if maybe, let's say, you've done all you want in the support queue and you're a support main, but you also enjoy playing Diva, I think this is definitely a build that you can enjoy. It's cheap, and it's very fun to play. I really enjoy the whole slamming down on the enemies. It's just very fun. So I highly recommend it. I hope it brings you fun and success in Stadium, and I will see you guys next time.